While the cheeky Ford Fiesta may be the most popular kid in the supermini class, secretly everyone wants to be like the Volkswagen Polo, smart, sassy and just that bit more sophisticated. Now here in all new, 6th generation guys, the Polo is pulling even more pressure onto rivals, which also include the Vauxhall Corsa, Nissan Micra and Mazda 2, by combining some of the sharpest looks in the sector with an outstanding interior. The VW Polo's cabin is no longer a black hole of unquestionably high quality but overwhelmingly dark materials. Now it's vibrant and modern, packed with technology, and claims to be the most spacious in class. The VW Polo grows up. Volkswagen's Polo MK6 has certainly grown up. This car is not only bigger its predecessor in every dimension that counts, it actually exceeds the size of the 4th generation VW Golf in all but length. Most crucial of all is the increase in the distance between the front and rear axles. Pushing this wheels 92 mm further apart plays a big role in making passengers more comfortable, creating more room and improving ride quality. The latest Polo is also 69 mm wider than the car it replaces. There are grown-up improvements in other areas, too. While the colorful interior options will increase the Polo's youth appeal, giving the cabin a more playful feel, much of the technology available has filtered down from larger vehicles such as the current Golf and Passat. VW's bosses see all this as overcoming traditional class boundaries, meaning you get a lot more of a large car experience in this Polo. We say it gives you a great deal of car for the money. The contemporary Ford Fiesta is excellent in many areas, but with the Polo, Volkswagen has clearly set out to surprise and delight customers with what's possible from a car of this size. For example, this Polo is the debut car for VW's 2nd generation active info display, the optional interactive digital gauge cluster that replaces the conventional instrument dials. Other key features include autonomous emergency braking, with pedestrian detection as standard, essential touchscreen display, depending on model, and extensive connectivity, from smartphone features to specially developed apps. How is all this possible? As with the equivalent Ibiza, which was launched into the market slightly ahead of the VW, the new Polo is based on the Volkswagen Group's highly adaptable underpinnings. While the Polo uses the small version of this platform, this is the same basic structure that underpins everything from the Golf to the Škoda Kodiaq SUV, giving the Polo access to all sorts of technology integration that would otherwise be too expensive to scale down to a supermini. Wide choice of engines and trims, including sporty Polo GTI. There is no 3-door body style for the new Polo, VW deciding instead to only offer the more practical 5-door, which makes accessing the rear seats easier. UK trim levels are yet to be confirmed, but are likely to mirror the previous lineup of S, say, SL, Beats and R-Line, with the high-performance Polo GTI at the top of the range now sporting 200 horsepower. Similarly, the full UK engine lineup is still to be announced, though we do know that 1.0-litre TSI turbo petrol engines will be by far the biggest sellers. They're available in the Polo with 95 horsepower and 115 horsepower, and a choice of manual or automatic transmission. We've so far driven both 1.0-litre TSI models, plus a 1.6-litre diesel as well. The verdict for our full impressions of the VW Polo keep reading the full review, yet suffice to say this is a small car with a big personality. Spacious and easy to handle, it gives drivers confidence and offers passengers room, while dazzling with a vibrant range of colors inside and out. Typically one of the more expensive supermini choices, good levels of standard equipment ensure you still get value for money. It is not as fun to drive as the Fiesta, and you're best opting for smaller wheels, or the optional adaptive suspension, if you want the most comfortable ride. But the interior is very close to setting new standards for this class, and the technology it brings with it is very intelligently implemented. UK engine choice still to be confirmed. 1.0-litre TSI turbo petrol set to dominate. 1.6-litre TDI turbo diesels not worth the cost. European buyers will be offered the choice of up to 9 engines in the MK6 Polo, 5 regular petrol engines and 2 diesels, plus a high-performance 2.0-litre turbo petrol GTI and eco-friendly 1.0-litre TGI motor that runs on compressed natural gas, CNG. At the time of writing, late August 2017, the lineup for the UK is less clear-cut, with VW unwilling to confirm which engines it will offer here until pricing and trim levels are officially finalized, expected in October 2017. However, The UK is certainly likely to get both 1.0-litre TSI turbo petrol models, and these we have now driven. What's the VW Polo 1.0-litre TSI like to drive? The lower power version has a healthy 95 horsepower and 175 Newton-meters of torque, is capable of 0 to 62 miles per hour in 10.8 seconds and a theoretical top speed of 116 miles per hour, and comes with the 5-speed manual gearbox as standard. Its more powerful brother offers 115 horsepower and a 6-speed manual transmission, but only the same amount of torque, and VW has so far declined to provide any performance figures for it. We'd expect the 115 horsepower to be quicker on paper, and even if it's not by much, it may well still be worth considering if you can stretch to the additional cost. For out on the road, the extra 20 horsepower really does make a difference, delivering a more sprightly experience. That's not to say the 95 horsepower model feels like a sluggard, but by comparison it does seem a little flat. Both engines have just 3 cylinders, and produce a characteristic 3-cylinder thrum. Power delivery and response is good once you've got the turbo working, ideally above 2000 revolutions per minute, but if you catch it off boost it can take a while to get going again. This isn't helped by the tall gearing in the manual gearbox cars, especially the 95 horsepower model. You can quite often find yourself merrily driving along in third when you should be in fifth as a result. A 7-speed DSG automatic is optional on both engines. We've only tried it with 115 horsepower so far, but it suits that model very well, with snappy paddle shifting helping to further enliven the driving experience. Is the VW Polo diesel worth buying? The UK is also likely to be offered the option of at least one of the diesel engines. Both of these are 1.6-litre TDI turbo units, with either 80 horsepower or 95 horsepower, an identical 250 Newton-meters of torque and a standard 5-speed manual transmission. Our sample drive suggests while the added torque is welcome, the additional engine noise is not. Only a small fraction of UK buyers are likely to fork out the extra upfront costs to purchase one. In fact, more than 95% of Polo owners are expected to stick with petrol, and we see no reason to try to change their minds. In a small car, the potential fuel savings rarely outweigh the initial cost penalty. What about the GTI and other Polo engines? This generation of Polo GTI is powered by a 2.0-litre TSI turbo petrol with 200 horsepower and 320 Newton-meters of torque, a modest increase over the 1.8-litre model it replaces. Official performance figures are yet to be confirmed, and we will be driving it at a later date. Also of note is a 1.5-litre TSI turbo petrol with 150 horsepower, 250 Newton-meters and active cylinder deactivation to help save fuel. This is one of the highlights of the MK7.5 Golf range, and should go even better in the smaller, lighter Polo. But it isn't available at launch and we're yet to drive this combination. There is sadly no market for the Polo TGI with its 1.0-litre compressed natural gas engine in the UK, so it won't be offered here. Light controls make the Polo easy to drive. Modular platform helps deliver a big car feel, but its handling never really sparkles. When VW unveiled this generation of Polo, it promised the driving experience would be significantly more fun. Sadly, we're not convinced this has been delivered. That's not to say the MK6 Polo is bad to drive, far from it, but we didn't really have any complaints about the last one, either, and there certainly hasn't been a massive step change improvement that will see it challenging a Ford Fiesta for giggles on your favorite B road. What you do get from the Polo is an impressively big car feel for a supermini. The structure is stiffer than it was before, everything it does is well controlled, and there's little sense that you're barreling around on your tiptoes, as you might find with some rival small cars. For many drivers, the Polo's measured responses will likely instill a great sense of security as a result. The steering is light, and the car is easy to control even when traveling quickly. However, the steering is also somewhat sloppy and vague, the manual gearshift is rubbery and lacking in precision, and nothing about the way the Polo handles really inspires you to get involved. In other words, it's a very mature experience, but also a rather boring one, though to be fair, the equivalent generation of Fiesta has also moved in the same direction. The Ford is still sweeter than the VW, but it isn't that exciting to drive. Hopefully the later arrival of the 150 horsepower 1.5 TSI and 200 horsepower 2.0-litre GTI will bring some extra vim to the Polo experience. For information about the optional Sport Select adaptive suspension, see the comfort section below. Completely new styling direction inside, lots of color and technology, still easy to use with excellent intelligent design. To say this Polo is a bit different inside compared to the previous one is akin to pointing out Donald Trump has a different style of presidential leadership to Barack Obama. You don't have to be an expert to spot the obvious. Depending on how you spec it, MK6 Polo offers a variety of interior color potential, with no less than 8 options for the dashpad area, the strip that crosses the dashboard, alongside a choice of complementary trim finishes and seat fabrics. High-tech with solid ergonomics, but this is more than just a style thing. VW has consciously moved the media system onto the same level as the instrument cluster, so the driver doesn't have to look so far away from the road to view it. This could have been done relatively easily by fitting a standalone, tablet-mimicking screen, as most rivals have done. Instead, VW has chosen to fully integrate the touch screen into the dashboard to give the finished product a far more cohesive and intentionally future-gazing look. And although base-spec UK cars may not get a touch screen, we understand that all UK models that do will get the full 8.0-inch device rather than the smaller 6.5-inch version offered in some markets. Digital instruments, too, also available as an option on the MK6 Polo, is VW's second-generation active info display, a fully digital instrument cluster that replaces the conventional dials. This offers more viewing modes and customization than before, and works very well. But frankly, there's little wrong with the analog alternative, which features a particularly clear layout, and the active info display is an option we'd probably ignore. Everything works very well. Returning to the touchscreen infotainment system, it's worth noting that we found this particularly intuitive to use, with a more attractive interface design than that of the C-Type Ibiza, which uses essentially similar hardware. Better yet, VW hasn't made the mistake of putting all the Polo's secondary controls into this media system. There are still dials for the air conditioning, for example, which is now standard on all models. From the driver's perspective, it's also good to see a wide range of adjustment in the seating position and the steering column. You shouldn't have much difficulty making yourself comfy behind the Polo's steering wheel. VW Polo interior quality, material quality is good, but not what we'd describe as outstanding versus other superminis. You don't have to look too hard to find cheaper plastics. That said, everything you regularly touch inside the Polo are likely to feel very premium, and the variety of colors and finishes available inside remain central to this VW's overall appeal. Good ride comfort for a Supermini Sport Select option, well worth considering. Refinement not as impressive as hoped, with most buyers anticipated to opt for a 3-cylinder engine, a configuration that's naturally unbalanced and potentially noisy. You'd expect VW to have prioritized the Polo's refinement. To this end, we were a little disappointed at the slightly irritating tone to the engine note at speed, and were surprised to detect the occasional vibration in the cabin. While this is no worse than Supermini rivals, we continue to expect VW to do better, and that's not overwhelmingly the case here. For VW Polo comfort, try Sport Select. For a small car, the Polo's ride comfort is generally positive, but the move to a new platform has enabled VW to offer much larger wheel sizes, up to 18 inches on the GTI, and you should prepare for the occasional shock and thump if you're seduced by the visual appeal of these bigger rims. Regardless of wheel size, we strongly recommend the optional Sport Select suspension package if you can afford it. This features adaptive suspension with a choice of normal and sport settings, controlled via a driving mode selector next to the gear lever. The normal setting makes a Polo on 17-inch wheels ride better than a standard Polo on 16-inch wheels, which is quite some achievement. Switch to Sport and it's a touch more fidgety, but you still forgive it versus the conventional suspension for its additional control, reducing body roll and subduing bumps in the road more quickly. It's almost a must-have option as far as we're concerned. At the time of writing, VW is still to confirm UK specification and trim levels for the MK6 Polo, though these are unlikely to differ dramatically from the usual range of S, say, SL, Beats and R-Line. Since most of these are loosely equivalent to European specification that we do know about, we've listed these here. UK models are likely to have more rather than less standard equipment. VW Polo Trendline standard equipment, likely to be badged as in the UK, is the entry-level new Polo, and it comes with the following standard equipment: LED daytime running lights, speed limiter, front assist with city emergency braking and pedestrian monitoring, 14-inch steel wheels. We're expecting air conditioning to be standard on the UK S model as well. VW Polo Comfort Line standard equipment likely to be say in the UK, is the mid-spec trim, with these additional items of equipment as standard: composition color touchscreen infotainment system, air conditioning, driver alert, tiredness detection system, center armrest, front and rear electric windows, multifunction steering wheel, 15-inch steel wheels. UK models will likely feature the composition media touchscreen system instead, which has a larger 8.0-inch screen as standard. The composition color system uses a 6.5-inch screen. VW Polo Highline standard equipment expected to become SL in the UK, is the conventional top specification, and includes the following extras as well: parking sensors, white LED background lighting for the front doors and instrument panel, leather trimmed gear lever and handbrake, 15-inch alloy wheels. VW Polo Beats Edition standard equipment named for the headphone brand responsible for the sound system, but also featuring a host of further enhancements, including 300-watt Beats Hi-Fi, available as an option on other models, 16-inch alloy wheels, black mirror housings, special decals, velvet red dash pad, sports seats with Beats logo, bespoke sill covers. VW Polo R-Line standard equipment. R-Line is only an equipment package in Germany, but will be sold as a standalone trim in the UK. Features are largely cosmetic, intended to close the gap between the regular Polo range and the GTI. Sporty front bumper, rear bumper with diffuser design and chrome trim, roof spoiler, 16-inch alloy wheels, wraparound black sill trim strip, full R-Line interior upgrade. VW Polo optional equipment. There are lots of customization options available for the Polo, ranging from an above-average choice of interior finishes to a host of high-technology features we're more used to seeing on cars from the class above. Be careful not to get too carried away, or you could end up with a very expensive small car. Standard safety kit is impressive. Not all of the latest active tech is available. 5-star Euro NCAP crash test score. The Polo should prove to be a suitably safe small car, as reflected by its 5-star crash test rating under the auspices of Euro NCAP, although it misses out on some of the fancier gadgets available on rivals such as the Ford Fiesta. Key standard safety items on all VW Polos. All of the following are fitted as standard on every Polo. Front assist, VW's broad term for the technology that watches the road ahead. This includes city emergency braking and pedestrian monitoring, a sophisticated autonomous emergency braking system, automatic post-collision braking, speed limiter, tire pressure monitors, electronic stability control, hill hold assist. Optional active safety equipment on the VW Polo. The Polo misses out on items such as traffic sign recognition and the more sophisticated driving assistance capability of its large cousin the VW Arteon, but you can still add the following active safety systems. Active cruise control. When combined with the DSG transmission, this includes a stop-and-go function for traffic jams. The first time this has been offered with a manual parking brake, blind spot monitor, cross-traffic alert. How many ISOFIX car seats can I fit in a VW Polo Super Mini? The Polo gets 2 ISOFIX mounting points on the outer ends of the rear seat, about what you can expect from this class. Ditching the 3-door body style should mean it's relatively easy to install a child seat, too. But in practice the Polo's rear doors don't leave that wide an opening, so prepare yourself for a bit of a struggle. Plenty of passenger space for a Super Mini. Boot has grown bigger, too, sort of among the very best for space in the Super Mini class. VW claims the Polo is the most spacious car in its class, and we've no reason to doubt this. Just remember, we are still talking about a Super Mini, so although 4 adults will fit inside, those in the back won't exactly find themselves luxuriating in palatial surroundings. Knee and legroom remain at a premium. While the Polo has got bigger, it still fits into one of the smallest classes of car on the road, so you're unlikely to struggle with parking it, though the increased width may cause a few nervous moments for owners of older garages. Parking sensors and a reversing camera are available if you're particularly concerned. VW makes a big claim about an increase in boot size for this Polo, saying it's grown 71 liters over the model it replaces. Open the tailgate, however, and you'd be forgiven for thinking Volkswagen is fibbing. The main boot area looks modest to say the least. But beneath the load floor lies a cavernous space that's less practical than the main boot but still offers additional storage. The catch is that this is where you'd usually find the spare wheel, and guess what? VW has elected not to fit one here. In other words, if you're looking for more storage space in your old Polo, try leaving the spare wheel at home, and praying you don't get a puncture.